Hi everyone, I'm Dave.
And I'm Quinn, and this is the Almost Friday show for April 7th, 2011.
This week in Off the Press, we're going to be talking about The Governator, not an April Fool's joke.
So Stan Lee's decided to make some sort of comic book series with Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Governor, Nader.
Governor Nader.
It's pretty ridiculous.
I'm not hugely wowed by this, but saw some of the animated footage, and I was kind of upset because it's like someone forgot, oh, you know what? It's not actually the 1990s anymore.
I just want him to yell, "After my tortillas!" In the gutters this week, we're bringing you Lightning Round. That's right, a whole set of 6 comics that Dave and Sam are going to be going through real quick.
Probably. We're going to try to do it real quick. In tech review, we're going to be doing, Quinn's going to be doing a reviewing of the iPad 2. Someone here owns one and has become the apparent ultimate Apple douchebag.
That'd be me, unfortunately. It happens. In science this week, Sean is bringing us artificial retinas, which is pretty crazy. Science we saw in movies, it's here now.
But the thing is, can I get them in blue?
I don't know. We'll have to see. You charge extra for colors. Otherwise, you just have ghosty Twilight eyes.
$5,000 lenses, an extra $20 for the color. This week behind the lens, Quinn is going to be reviewing some. He's going to be giving us some new news from Nikon.
That's right. The D5100's been announced, and hey, Nikon's really getting this video thing a little bit more under their basket. And finally, in Law of the Week this week, Segways, Jousting. Need I say more? You'll just have to watch.
Welcome to Off the Press! Get to the chopper!
What? That was...
What on earth?
What the hell? Obviously...
What could that be?
Obviously, we don't have the voice talents of the actual Governator here.
What are you talking about? I'm in the back room.
But someone who does have the voice talent of the actual Governator, also known as Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Governor of California. So, soon to be ex-Governor of California. So he's teamed up with Stan Lee to...
Teamed up.
Stan Lee probably forced himself onto him.
I kind of sort of suspect that in this project,
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger has already done more work than Stan Lee has on it.
Easily.
That's maybe just my jaded view
Probably
of...
channeling his inner 13-year-old. But, so basically the story is, it came out around April Fool's Day. That's the funny part.
That's the part that made it all like...
So the
Really?
Arnold Schwarzenegger and Stan Lee have teamed up to create The Governator cartoon series, TV show, and possibly movie?
And iPad app.
Seriously?
I have no idea. I don't.
Probably.
I'm assuming.
You know what? Probably. So
Soon I'm going to have an iPad app.
pretty soon everyone will have an iPad app.
You just sort of get it with your registration and your thing. Anyway,
So this
getting back to the Governator.
there is a trailer that was released for this, and it is pretty shoddy animation. Everything about it just screams like early to mid 90s.
For a trailer, I really would have expected... there was a TV show in the late 80s called The Bionic 6, where it had a gorgeous opening.
Yeah.
But it had the very standard late 80s, early 90s animation, which is the kind of animation we saw in the trailer for The Governator. It's almost like they didn't think it mattered.
No.
And it does.
It was just really
You have to
surprising.
hook people.
Like really surprising considering the names involved in this. Arnold Schwarzenegger, who has done like really big blockbuster movies before.
Big budget, which I think is the point. Big budget
and
movies.
Stan Lee, who is...
He's not a lightweight either.
He's not a schmuck. Well,
You know, his name sells.
yeah, exactly. So with the names involved, I'm really surprised the animation is so like crappy wannabe anime style.
Yeah, there was no... It wasn't even wannabe anime. It was that popularized... You know, it was the same kind of animation we saw in Cops, the same kind of animation we saw in tons of dozens of...
Captain Planet.
All that stuff. And it was too bad.
Yeah.
This could have been kind of a cool...
A cool kind of superhero
Like a kitsch.
concept. Yeah.
Like a kitsch kind of thing, which I think is what they were going for. And so it looks like the strength of this cartoon is going to have to be entirely in the writing.
Yeah.
If you have writers in this show that are not going to be acknowledging that, yeah, this is a joke.
Yeah. Hopefully with Stan Lee and Schwarzenegger involved, there will be some decent writing for the show.
Well, I was hoping for good animation, and
Yeah,
well, that's
well,
already 0 for 1 at that one.
Let's put our stakes in the comic book version of this. It's probably a bit better.
Up next, we have...
Another teaser for Torchwood Miracle Day, which is coming out July 8th. So this teaser it's very much a teaser.
It's like, okay, remember the poster we had last time?
Yeah. It's that, but
and
animated.
it's like, there's like some motion in it.
Yeah, it kind of moves around a little.
And they put a song over top of it that doesn't quite match up with the title that they're working with.
Yeah.
So I'm not...
So but the only thing to take away from this teaser is that they basically tell you the premise of this miniseries is that at a certain time, people stop dying on Earth, which is the premise of Miracle Day. So interesting.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, I mean, they've got me right.
Yeah.
You know.
It's a Torchwood. It's definitely a Torchwood selling point. You know.
Yeah. Coming up next, we have cameras.
Some camera news and some comic news. What?
That's crazy. How could you possibly do cameras and superheroes in the same thing?
Well, I'll tell you. Pentax has partnered with Warner Brothers Consumer Products. Warner Brothers owns DC Comics. To put out a camera with interchangeable skins and covers. It is the RS-1500 camera, so it's a little point and shoot. You take off the cover, put on a new one. This one is going to be shipping with 7 skins of classic DC heroes, including a modern Green Lantern movie carrying case. So obviously this is a promotion for the movie.
Tie-in. The 2 pictures that I've seen so far are the Catwoman one and Hal Jordan Green Lantern. It looks like the same for anyone who's seen any of the merchandise that's come out for any of the DC stuff, where it's like, hey, we're going to take this superhero and put it on a random product.
Yeah.
It's the same visuals,
Drinking
the
glasses,
same
everyone.
pictures. I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
If I need a camera, I'm not going to be buying this.
No.
If I just need a little point and shoot, and this one's $20 cheaper than something that's like a nice charcoal gray, I'm going to go into the charcoal gray.
This bundle is going to be it's 120 pounds. So that's about $200-ish Canadian. So now you can take all your pictures with the flash on.
Oh.
I had that one bottled up for like an hour.
She was sitting on the couch, and she was like,
I have an awesome flash bun. So, moving right along to this week's new releases. What's coming up in the theaters this week, Dave?
Hannah, which actually is kind of cool. The soundtrack by Chemical Brothers.
Yeah, I've been seeing lots of trailers for this. It looks pretty action-packed. It's kind of cool. And the biggest release in Blu-rays and DVDs this week is Tron Legacy. Yay. You have like 7 different options to choose from.
Is it up to 7 now? Oh, okay.
Something like that, with all the retailer exclusives and all that fun stuff.
We also have Narnia's coming out this week, which I heard... I have not heard a single review of it that was like, wow!
Yeah, most of the people I've talked to about this movie, they're like, it's not a right movie. The first one was obviously way better.
So that's just what I've heard from everybody.
So in games this week, nothing violent, nothing crazy, nothing rated teen or above. We have Glee Karaoke Volume 2.
So you can sing that song that they use in The Losers.
That was in Volume 1, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I don't need Volume 2 then.
Yeah, I think this one has a lot of like the Madonna and stuff they did later on in Series 1.
Now, how are these games, though? Have you heard anything about them?
The karaoke games, they're really popular, especially obviously with girls, especially for Glee. But it's about as popular as like any karaoke thing would be, except it's on the Wii and you have fancy little graphics and screenshots and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, people come by the microphone pretty frequently, so I can only assume they're pretty popular.
I am looking for a platform at this point. I don't know what I'm going to be getting, but I do not believe that this product is going to be currying my favor so much.
Probably not aimed to your demographics.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
Big hairy guys that,
Maybe.
No, maybe?
We'll talk. And that's it this week for Off the Press.
everyone, welcome to From the Gutters. We're going to be doing this week Lightning Round.
Yay.
Woo! So we have with us Sam and our timer as ever, Mr. Sean. He's going to be the one that is going to be trying to keep us under some kind of control. Good luck with that.
We're gonna do these. We're gonna change the rules a little bit.
1
minute, and that is all.
That means I kind of have to retrain. That's not.
Yeah, I know, but try and name it 1 minute, and when I call time, give it a grade.
Cool.
Yes, sir. Okay, all right.
All right.
And I guess we'll start with you, Dave. Ready, set, go.
Herc is going to be the first book I'll be reviewing today. It is from Marvel, first issue of yet another first issue of a Herc story. This is going to be an introduction to the new storyline. What's happened with Herc recently is he has become no longer godlike. He is now mortal. And he has a whole bunch of the different things, equipment. He has the shield, the Aegis, I believe, that has, or possibly, man, I'm not even... Anyway, so he's got a sword, he's got the arrows and everything, a lot of the stuff that you would recognize from the mythology, and he's starting up a new adventuring arc, and we're going to see what happens. I'm interested in seeing what does happen to this. I am going to be reading it continuously. The art was above par, so decent art, and the mark on this is going to be B+.
Perfect time, 58 seconds.
Awesome.
All right, and Sam, go.
I'm going to be doing Thor 621. So basically this is the chapter 4 of the current storyline where some cosmic entities are trying to destroy all the realms in the world tree, big tree, Yggdrasil thing. That's the one. So this is the final chapter. You kind of have to read the other chapters to know what's going on. The art by Ferry and La Roca was
30 seconds.
not exactly what I wanted for a Thor book. It was kind of really too cartoony, and they really used very little. I'm not gonna say very little color, but they were very strong in the colors they chose for.
The colors were bold?
Yeah, they're very bold and very. There's a lot of in the previous book, there's a lot of red, a lot of red. There's a lot of blue in this book, a lot of green, all that stuff.
So they're using the primaries and.
Yeah, definitely really rocking the primary colors. I give this a B-.
Ooh.
All right, Dave, go.
Fear Itself, Book 1. I went looking for it on the internet under Fear Itself number 1 and got nothing. But when I looked for Fear Itself Book 1, I came with a bunch of results in Google. This is sort of the big event for the early to late summer for Marvel. I don't really want to give a lot away about it, but this one, in the first book, in the prequel to it, the daughter of the Red Skull finds her father's book, and which shows her the location of this mystic hammer. In this one, it follows up what's going on. It talks about Thor and Odin's having a big flip out, and he sort of gets into tussle with Thor, and then Odin nails him up to Yggdrasil. The arc is done by Immonen, so it's gorgeous, and I'm definitely going to be reading the rest of this. It gets A-.
Alrighty, good job. And Sam, get ready to go.
I'm going to be reviewing the new Doctor Who number 1. So basically what happens in this is, you know how the Doctor gives his companions a cell phone that can call anywhere? Mm-hmm. So the companions, Rory and Amy, wanted to see if this phone had a data plan, and in seeing that, all their spam email manifested itself as holograms on the TARDIS. And then they landed on a hologram planet that was trying to be taken over by slave drivers. Hilarious plot. The spam email character is awesome. There's even a tribute to Clippy. The only thing I had problems with was the art. It was very much trying too hard to be photorealistic. It wasn't like Smith's art in the previous series, which is I'm going to show the characters but still be cartoony and really stylized. Yeah. This one, trying a little bit too hard, but the story was definitely made up for it. This is an A because I like internet humor.
Alrighty. That was the best one yet. 50 seconds. Alright, Dave, give her.
All right, the third one I'm going to be doing today is Undying Love #1, written by Tom Coker and Daniel Friedman, illustrated by Tom Coker. Tom Coker, by the way, total sweetheart. Really nice guy. I walked up with one of my crappy sketchbooks, and I was like, Tom, do you want to trade for your sketchbook? And he was like, yeah! Anyway, this is a story about a vampire, a guy who is escorting a lady who is a vampire, and
30 seconds.
trying to figure out, wow.
Yeah.
I'm really not doing this story any justice. But it is an intro, and it's starting us off by letting us know what the deal is vis-a-vis who the characters are, and who falls under what kind of condition. Tom Coker's artwork, gorgeous. I love it. There are a few things that I wish he would not stay so faithful to in terms of photo ref. But other than that, gorgeous artwork, and the writing seems more than competent. I'm definitely going to be picking up the entirety of this series. This book actually gets an A. Not an A+, but it gets an A.
Cool.
Interesting. And last one, Sam. And go!
And my final book this week is Non-Player #1. This one has been making its rounds on the internet
Yes.
and very well deserved.
Yeah.
The art is gorgeous. It's written and illustrated by Nate Simpson. It's basically like a futuristic MMO that, in the spoiler alert, in the final pages of the book, it's not totally spoiler. In the final pages of the book, you figure out that it's not quite just an MMO. It's more of like virtual reality type thing. This
Seconds?
similar plot has been done in a lot of things like
.hack.
yeah, and like .hack and a lot of other anime and other comics. But what sets this apart is the gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous fantasy artwork.
Yeah.
Like,
It's reminiscent, I would say, of Jeff Darrow.
Yep.
Not Jeff Darrow, sorry. No, it is Jeff Darrow, sorry.
if you can, definitely check this out.
They're sold out right now,
Yep, sold out.
but they are doing a second print.
Oh my, yes.
Time.
So I give the art an A. The story, since it's been done before, kind of like a B-. So overall together, a B. Pretty sweet.
Awesome work.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, Sam wins this one, Dave.
Haha.
Why? Why? It's because she's pretty.
Yes.
I'm going to have to introduce some more cleavage next week, not for Sam, but for me. And for now, that's going to be it from the gutters.
I'm going to get ready to wash my eyes.
Ow.
Hey everybody, welcome to Tech Insight. We're kicking it off with an iPad 2 review because, yes, it's 2 weeks late, but we did get one here in the studio. So this is the iPad 2.
This is the iPad 1.
And Sean's holding the iPad 1. So the first thing you might notice is that it's thinner.
Significantly so.
Yeah, and on top of that, it's also lighter, noticeably lighter, I find.
It is noticeably lighter, but I was saying to Quinn, like when I had both of them, that the iPad 2, like the iPad, you get an idea, yeah, this thing's going to have a little bit of weight to it. That one you're thinking, it'll be really light. And it is much lighter. However, it's kind of deceptive because you can actually look at it and you think it's going to be lighter, and then you pick it up, it's really not as light as you originally would have thought. Not that that's a bad thing, because it's still, you never
the
get
thing
tired.
is that I spent about a week using the iPad 1 and then upgraded to the iPad 2. And the iPad 2 is nicer to hold. It's easier to carry around. They really have made it the right kind of weight for a tablet. And it's the right thickness, too. Like, it's very easy to just kind of grasp it in your hands. It's not... This one feels a little bit chunkier. You have to hold on to it a little bit more sturdily.
Yeah,
Wow,
like
sturdily.
Yeah.
This
you have
one,
to use all your fingers.
This one's light enough that you can just kind of grab it pretty easily and not feel like you have to hold on extra strong. And it's thin enough that you can really get a good grip on it.
You can hold that one by the corner and be pretty secure in mind. Like this one, you can't really. You'd have to use all fingers.
They've also made the bezel around the outside a little less noticeable, which I think is kind of nice. You get more of this flat black look to it, so it looks a little bit more like a playbook at this point.
And they did what they were supposed to do, what I always thought they should have done with the first one, which is put the bloody cameras.
Yes, so you do have a front-facing camera here,
This one does
which
not.
is standard like 0.3 megapixel VGA, and then there's a rear camera as well. It does shoot 720p video, but it's not as good as the iPhone 4 is because the camera isn't the same quality camera. This doesn't take still, well, it does take still images, but, poor quality. This is kind of equivalent to what you'd get out of, like, the iPod Touch
Okay.
for a camera, although it takes stills, which the iPod Touch doesn't. Or I can't remember if it does. Either way, so this is a 32 gig model. The battery life's really great on it, which is good. I mean, it's the same as the iPad 1, but you can really, you can play full graphic games and stream movies, and it doesn't start draining. You really get a good amount of time out of it. So I've been really impressed with the battery life. The big thing I noticed was just how snappy everything was in comparison to the iPad 1. Flipping through the panels is quicker when you're using different applications. The actual responsiveness of flipping pages and things like that is now it doesn't want to work for me, is quite quick. You can see as I flip through material here, it's pretty fast to actually flip through that material.
Yeah.
Opening up applications and loading web pages and everything is quite quick. So the A5 chip is definitely being put to work well here. As well, we picked up the HDMI adapter, and we're able to plug this guy into a television. It'll do full mirroring of everything you're going to see. So you get to see your home screen and all the applications, and if you're playing videos or games, they'll show up on the screen, which is really nice. We plugged in Infinity Blade and played it on the television. It looks really good.
Yeah.
I mean, specifically talking about Infinity Blade, they revamped that application to be better supported by the iPad 2, and they've enhanced the graphics a little bit.
And you can really see
it's a really pretty game. I mean, it's amazing to think that I'm playing that on something that is, roughly 3 millimeters thick.
And I'm probably going to get a lot of hate mail from this. Looks better on this thing than a lot of the new console games are. So all you 360 and PS3 players out there, and I'm not even going to mention the Wii because we're not going to go there. But if Infinity Blade can look that good on an iPad, and we're talking about very, very well rendered. We're talking about graphics that allow you to see reflections in the marble floors, like in one of the levels. You can see the reflection of everything, and it looks awesome. There's no lag. Why can't I get that on any of my consoles?
Is that when we were playing it, the A5 chip's being put to good use here because you're dealing with high-end graphics, you're swiping across the screen, swords are flying, and nothing's slowing down.
No.
I mean, that was a big thing. We're going to talk shortly about the Motorola Xoom, and the noticeable difference was the Xoom is just, although it's on paper a better tablet than the iPad is, it's just not as snappy, it's not as fluid. So, I mean, I don't want to stand behind Apple and say they've made the better product here, but I really feel like the general experience all around on the iPad 2 is probably one of the slickest ones out there as far as the currently on the market tablet. Now, obviously, we haven't tried the Playbook yet, although a lot of people have been talking about that being a little bit slower than it was supposed to be, and now that we've tried the Xoom, we're not super impressed with that. So this is still looking to be the leader in the tablets as far as, overall functionality.
I would agree.
So overall, we like the iPad 2. If you have an iPad 1, though, there's not a whole lot of reason to upgrade. I wouldn't run out and buy it because it has an A5 chip, because we were able to play the similar games and stuff on the iPad 1.
Still looks pretty.
Still looks good. Still runs pretty well. It's not quite as snappy, but ultimately it's a small price to pay for, not spending $600 to go to a new tablet.
Pretty much.
So on to that, we did get a chance to try the Motorola Xoom. And my opinions of it was that, one, it's a little bit too heavy.
Okay.
It was a bit heavy. It was a bit chunky. It's a smaller tablet physically than this guy is.
It's a 7-inch, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe so. I think it's... I can't remember if it's 7 or 10 now.
Okay, because I didn't have the chance to actually play with it myself.
It's a 10-inch tablet. But although the screen goes more to the edges than the iPad does, it is thicker feeling, and just it's a chunkier tablet altogether. It's running Android, so you've got all the Android apps that are currently available, but it's running the new Honeycomb app, or Honeycomb version of Android. And what they did, which was kind of surprising, that there's no standard Android buttons on the tablet itself. If you look at a Galaxy Tab, for instance, you've got your back button, your menu button, your home button right on the bottom of it. So anyone who has an Android phone can very quickly pick up a Galaxy Tab, start using it, and understand it. The Xoom doesn't have those buttons. They rely on buttons that are actually in the interface of the operating system itself.
That sounds like Motorola.
Which would be okay, except the buttons are using entirely different symbols than they've ever used in Android, and they're in an entirely different location than you'd ever expect them to be. So we actually had quite a bit of difficulty figuring out initially how to get into things like the app menu and get into Task Manager and stuff like that, because it was not designed to look like every other Android.
Well, okay, to give them the benefit of the doubt, I assume this was a demo model somewhere.
Well, it's the display. It was some display models at one of the big box stores.
But to give them the benefit of the doubt, I mean, it is of course a first gen.
Yes.
So it's going to need revisions. Also, Honeycomb's still a little.
I think, but my problem with that is that it's a bad excuse when, especially at this point. I mean, Apple has 97% of the tablet market right now.
That is
If
true.
you want someone to adopt your stuff, you have to bring more to the table than Apple's going to bring. And that was the other point, is that when we got into using applications, we tried Comixology, which is also available on the iPad. And flipping through the pages on Comixology, there was a lot more lag. It wasn't as smooth. It was a lot more stuttery than using the iPad. Even though the specs are faster, more RAM, it just wasn't as efficiently running those applications as the iPad seems to do it. So, yeah, it's first generation, but you're not going to sell people on that product if it's not going to be as good as what's already out there, if not better, especially when the as good currently owns most of the market.
Yeah.
So, you know, we might see some improvements if they tweak the operating system.
I think they need to, what needs to happen is, like we've been saying this forever when it comes to Android products, is there needs to be a certain amount of standardization.
Yes.
Because although Honeycomb is going to be put on every bloody tablet that comes out for Android, well, not every tablet, but for most, and we're going to get Gingerbread and all of that, the only thing is, we're still going to see probably the same issues. What has to happen is we need to get, I don't want to say more general drivers, but better drivers. Because we're running the same sort of Linux thing when it comes to, you put Linux on a machine, like onto your PC, you got to be careful what you have in there. Because you're not going to always have the smoothest running machine, because you're not going to have the right driver.
Yeah. So in conclusion to that, I mean, the thing is, if you want an Android tablet as opposed to an Apple product or a RIM product, then I would say the Xoom is a good tablet. It's not a bad tablet. You know, it's definitely fast, definitely works well. I just think in comparison to the iPad, it wasn't quite as smooth. But if you are looking for an Android tablet, it's definitely the best one out there on the market right now, and it's pretty well priced. So if you're looking for the best tablet, I don't give it my approval. I would say I would still go with the iPad.
Okay.
But if you're definitely looking for an Android tablet, the Xoom is a nice product overall, although it will take some relearning how to use your operating system, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's what happens.
So news with other phone companies. It appears that HTC is on the rise.
Yeah, they, a little while ago, and Nokia's actually been doing this ever since every new OS comes out. Nokia kind of sat there and went, pshaw, ha ha ha, Android, it'll pass by, right? And they likened it to peeing in your pants, I quote, peeing in your pants for temporary warmth. They're eating those words now. HTC has actually risen, and we're not talking about actual phones being sold, we're talking just strictly in stock. Their stock has actually risen by 33% over
Which
the
is a
past
pretty
year.
significant chunk.
That's huge, especially when you take into account that, I unfortunately didn't get the stat for RIM, but they're beating out RIM and Nokia. Nokia dropped by 19, which is not good. Had Nokia stayed the same, and HTC went up, okay, then you get a little bit of you can make fun of each other, fine. But when one is seriously beating the other out of the market, it is not good.
Well, I think it's an issue where both Nokia and RIM are stuck in a, what we're doing is good for now.
Yeah.
And because neither one of them are really pushing new phones and innovative technologies like HTC is. I mean, HTC comes out with a new Android phone every couple months, and it's always one step better than the last one. RIM is still making phones that should have come out 2 years ago, and Nokia hasn't made a new operating system forever.
Yeah.
And now that they've joined Windows 7, but they're waiting until next year, unfortunately, both of those companies are kind of stuck in a circle where they're like, well, we're still selling phones, so why bother?
They're kind of stuck in their own, I hate to say it, but they're kind of stuck in their own delusion that they're still making the phone of the century.
Well, I think this is the first point to show that is catching up with them, that they can't sit around and hope to just, keep winning over the customers they already had.
Yeah.
People are jumping ship because there's better devices from other companies out there at the moment.
Yeah, and so this is something that hopefully, because, Nokia made great hardware. They made the best operating system, or used the best operating system at the time. So hopefully they kind of pick it up and they kind of sit there.
See what
and
they can do with Windows 7.
Exactly. And hopefully this kind of fixes things.
Speaking of Windows 7, if you were hoping to get one on a tablet, you should wait a little bit longer because now people are getting Windows 8.
Yes, Microsoft actually announced and has been sending out, if you're actually part of their beta program, you could potentially get your own copy of Windows 8. So think of Windows 7, the usual way, only better. They've basically taken this and they're trying to cater it so that you take the same operating system, like they said with Windows 7, you take the same operating system, put it on a PC, a laptop, a tablet, a phone, so we may not even have Windows 7 anymore, Phone 7, but take all of that, all those devices and have one operating system and have it just work and optimize itself to work with them.
Which is, it's a good concept for sure.
It definitely is, and I'm hoping. I mean, Microsoft is always fun to make fun of. I mean, they always have been. They've kind of been the scapegoat for operating system,
Especially in
issues.
recent times with them not being innovative.
Yes, I mean, Windows Vista was innovative in a way, but it also stank. And then Windows 7 came along and kind of picked up the mess. Windows 8 hopefully is going to be way more innovative. I mean, we can say this all we want about any operating system. I mean, we can say this about OS X. We can say this about anything, Linux even. But hopefully, we're going to actually see the improvements that they've been promising for the last few years. Because, frankly, if they could make a Windows version that works on tablets, and it should be noted that they've been trying to do this forever, if they can finally get this down, then we could probably see a bigger shift toward tablets and less towards the bigger, bulky machines.
For sure.
And so we're going to have to keep an eye on this. I believe Scott might be part of the beta as well as I am.
Yeah, so
Or
we'll,
beta program,
if we can get you some sneak peeks, we'll definitely try.
Yeah, well, we'll try without getting sued.
Yes.
But we'll definitely give it a try and see what we can do in that case.
And finally, for Tech Insight this week, we talked to you about Zadiva a little while ago, new up-and-comer for renting you DVDs over the internet.
Yeah.
And the legal gray market they were in, well, it looks like it has caught up to them because they are now being sued by the MPAA.
Yeah, basically the MPAA is saying that they are not a real rental service because they're streaming the video. And
Yeah.
yes, it's only for a period of time. However, it's not like Netflix where they went out and said, hey, we want to make deals with all of the producers and all the production companies and all of that to say, we'd like to take your movies, put them on the web, make people pay, whereas Zadiva's kind of come in and not really paid attention to the rules.
Well, they decided to try and fly in the gray market by being like, well, we'll operate like a DVD store, but we'll do it online because there's not really any rules for that. And the MPAA is like, no, not going to happen.
Yeah.
Which no one's really surprised about. No final verdict as to what's going to happen, whether they're going to exist after this or whether they'll strike up some deal or whether they'll actually end up coming out in the clear. But that legal action has been sought.
Yeah, and it can go either way in this case because there's a few good arguments in every direction. I mean, the MPAA, of course, is going to be able to throw money at lawyers to make sure that it doesn't happen. However, we have seen this sort of thing kind of pull through. So, hopefully we'll be able to use this service when it comes to Canada if it survives.
Yeah. And that wraps it up this week in Tech Insight.
It's kind of alive.
Nah, it's still dead.
Oh. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to, well, Mad Science again.
It's not very mad this week, but it is pretty sciencey.
Yeah, once again, we're going to kick it off with our favorite things.
Canadian content and
Robotic arms.
woo,
So a
or
couple
robotic
of...
limbs, really. But
Yeah,
yeah, we're not gonna be discriminative.
that's true, because, I mean, these gents are working on it.
Yeah,
2 Ryerson undergraduates. So, Ryerson University. Awesome.
cool.
They came up with a pneumatic robotic arm, or we'll say a robotic prosthesis, that isn't invasive. This is a very good thing. I mean, a lot of people have always been sitting there and saying, "Oh, I don't want to get the robotic limbs
Yeah, I don't
because
want
it's
to
going
get
to
the
be invasive."
surgery and it's gonna be a hassle and all that
Exactly.
stuff.
So these 2 gents have actually come up with a way of creating the arm that uses, I believe it was valves and just a bunch of pneumatic valves and pumps as the musculature, and it's actually controlled by, I believe, a headband.
Yeah.
And so this is completely non-invasive. They strap it onto you. There's no plugging anything in, except for the headband over your forehead.
Wear the headband.
Yeah.
There's no pictures of it in the article, but I'm kind of picturing this as like a little bit sillier than your standard exercise headband,
Yeah, probably.
with a lot more wires and pokey bits.
I mean, if we think about it, eventually they could probably make it so it can be hidden, in a hat
Yeah,
and
a
that
hat
sort
or
of
a
thing.
toque or anything.
Exactly. And so this gets, so you basically think, it sends the signal from your brain to the computer, which
Yeah.
matches based on other movements that it's picked up and impulses, the movement that your arm is supposed to make.
In the article as well, there's no mention of how big this little computer is, but
We're thinking fanny pack.
hopefully by the time this goes into production or like the more advanced stages of prototyping, they'll get it down to a size or it's like a fanny pack or the size of like an old Walkman or an
Yeah.
iPhone or something.
Yeah, even smaller. I mean, They could
something-
make it onto an iPhone-sized computer.
Something
I mean,
you could
it's-
easily just throw into your pocket, you know.
Exactly. So these gentlemen have already come up with a way of marketing it, and they've already kind of gone that way.
Yeah.
But they're actually already making improvements. They're changing the algorithm so that it'll actually learn. So the more you do of one movement, the easier and smoother it's going to be, just like anything you do. They're putting in sensors, I believe it was piezoelectric sensors, I thought, about so that you can actually feel the difference. Well,
Oh, cool.
you don't feel, but the hand
the
will
computer
feel
will
the
know.
difference between, say, a can and a glass bottle.
Yeah, something between something squishy and something not squishy, and then
Exactly.
you know, if you're squeezing down too much on something squishy, it's like you probably have a lot less. You don't have to squish that hard on it.
Exactly, and the hand will actually, the computer will actually sit there and say, "Oh, I'm holding onto
Yeah.
something rather hard. I'll change my grip strength."
Like, I
So-
don't need to grip that hard on it. I'll loosen up a little for next
Exactly.
time.
So we're looking at something that's non-invasive, very adaptable, and hopefully going to be on the market
Yep.
soon.
And apparently also very affordable compared to other prosthetic limbs. But
It's much cheaper to make.
again, right now it's still in prototype phase.
Mhm.
What's really cool also, in this article from Engadget, if you read down through the comments, there is a link to a video of these two guys being interviewed for the Discovery Channel show Daily Planet. Check it out, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Of course, you can find that link once again in the show notes.
Show notes.
Next up, we have something else that's kind of neat. We've talked about this before.
Yep, just a couple weeks ago, actually.
Yeah, we were talking about self-cooling circuits using phase change materials, and Scott was very, very, very upset with that phrase because pretty much anything phase changes.
Her.
Well, we've talked about this chemical, or this I should say, structure known as graphene before. So this is basically a carbon lattice structure that is basically used more often now. And what they're noticing is that this is actually able to work as, transistors and conductors. It can actually be used to make circuitry.
Yep, they're thinking that pretty soon down the line we'll have this in computers instead of the usual silicone because it cools down a lot better and a lot quicker, more efficiently than silicone does.
Yeah, it has a higher, basically it has a cooling effect that actually outweighs its resistive heating.
Yeah.
And that is the electrons resisting, going through a conductor, they actually cause heat. So it actually is able to create an effect that it will cool much faster.
Yeah.
So this could be very interesting. We could be seeing much, much cooler electronics. We could see, instead of having to create some new material to do so. So graphene used in another way, there's going to be a book soon, I'm sure, of 1,001 uses for graphene.
Hooray.
Because we're just finding more and more and more. Like this
Fanless,
material.
silent computers. One day.
One day.
One day.
Like we are seeing such a great innovation here. So the last one,
Yep.
more in the way of bionics and, of course, augmenting the human condition,
Ooh.
that is artificial retinas. So basically, we've always talked about making artificial eyes, but we'll say bionic eyes. And people have always wondered, how are we going to do that?
Most of just a couple of them that have hit the internet in the recent months and years have been basically little cameras stuck into the eye socket.
Or glasses.
Or
and
glasses and
things
other
like that.
Stuff that are tiny and probably require a lot of kind of gross work.
Well, this isn't going to require any less gross work.
Yeah, slightly less gross because it's smaller.
Okay, it is. So the Bionic Vision Australia group has actually come up with a new circuit. It's a new sensor which they've actually made, and it's smaller than, I believe the coin they showed was about the equivalent to a quarter.
Yeah, roughly quarter size. So it's about a quarter of that size.
Yeah, it's quite tiny. We're talking millimeter scale here. And basically what they do is they implant it, of course, where your retina was.
Yep.
And what it does is it's able to send the actual impulses based on what it receives to the nerves directly. Cool. So if they could get this to work, that means you won't really need a computer like the other versions have.
Yep.
You'll just get direct stimulation.
Does this just measure light, or
That's the thing, we don't know that yet.
Okay,
We can't
so
really. They didn't really talk about what it's able to detect
so
or
it's
anything
still
like that. But it is a jump forward because we haven't seen this sort of thing before. So we've actually seen them make them for the side of your eye.
Yep.
And then you have
we saw the glasses one a couple weeks back too.
And basically it's kind of like Jordy's
Jordy's headband
or eye band thing where it would actually have to be in contact so it could actually communicate. Well, we're seeing that we don't need that anymore. And if they can get this, like it's already going to human trials. They're starting to screen
Oh,
out
cool.
human guinea pigs, and no, I should say test subjects. No, that still doesn't sound right. Well, either way,
Human trials.
human trials. They're going into it, and hopefully we're going to hear about this one very, very shortly
Yeah.
about it working, because this will be very exciting. We soon, and it's not even going to be just for human eyes. We could be seeing something going in for cameras, say.
Yeah.
And then maybe or even going the other way around, adopting actual camera technology that's being used.
Maybe soon I can get rid of these without getting laser eyes.
Pretty much.
Pew pew.
But I want the laser eyes.
Yeah, me too.
So, that basically wraps it up. We got two basically artificial prostheses of a form, and then one really neat new use for graphing, which hopefully can be used in the artificial eye.
We'll be right back. I think we're onto something here.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Behind the Lens. Kicking it off, I think we had some news from Nikon.
Yes, Nikon came out and announced the D5100, the replacement to the D5000 and the upgrade from the D3100.
So what are we seeing different?
Well, okay, so the big thing is that the D5100 had an articulating screen, but Nikon was kind of stupid and put it at the bottom, so it flipped and rotated at the bottom, which they said was so that when you're panning, you're still in the same line as the lens, because otherwise your brain gets confused. But see, everyone else was making it the other way, and no one seemed to complain, so that was just Nikon being stupid. So now they've listened, and the screen flips out on the side, which is far more useful than flipping down, because it actually means you can tilt it so that you can shoot above things, which would be the beneficial part. It's using the same 16 megapixel sensor that's in the D7000, so it should have relatively similar noise performance for low light shooting. But they've done full 1080p video with multiple frame rates. You don't get the multiple frame rates in the 3100, and it's a nice 3-inch 921,000 dot LCD screen on it that's rotating, which is kind of cool. They've put some video effects in the camera, so you can do things like miniature and stencil and stuff like that, because people apparently like this stuff.
Being someone who screws around with cameras just because he's not an expert, I mean, point and shoot, click, that's all I do. But having those weird things in it is always fun.
Yeah, and that's what they're going for. So I mean, if you were thinking of getting a 3100, but were thinking of leaning towards a 7000 because you thought 3100 wasn't really good enough, then the 5100 might be a good option for you. I did have to kind of laugh because Nikon's press release was like, oh, we've got a swivel screen that comes out the side. We're looking at cameras in a new perspective. I'm like, that would be great if it wasn't for the fact that you're like the last person to do it, and therefore it's not a new perspective at all.
Isn't that what they wrote when they did the bottom tilt?
Probably. But what they also came out with, which is kind of neat, is they brought out the ME1 microphone, which is a little hot shoe-based shotgun microphone that you can plug into the D5100, because it does have a mic input on it, unlike the 3100. Which is kind of cool, because it does mean that Nikon's understanding that people want good video and are looking for advanced video functions. So the fact that they've come out with this little microphone, which is supposed to retail for about, I think, around $200, which is a good price point for a little shotgun microphone. So it's called the ME1, so I think that's kind of cool, and it does show that Nikon's a little bit more invested in video. That's pretty much all the news right now. Hopefully we'll have one on the show when we get a chance to get our hands on one. But it looks kind of interesting.
Not being a camera person, I'm very much intrigued just because, seeing some of Quinn's cameras do the video is nuts.
Yes.
So I'd like to see what Nikon can bring to the table when it comes to their full video, full audio. This would be cool.
So something that's been circulating around the net this week was a product called RE35, which I really wanted to be real, but sadly it wasn't. The website launched on April 1st, but no one really caught wind of it till about a couple days later. Yeah. So it blew up just after April 1st, which made everyone think it was real. So the premise behind RE35 was it was a cartridge with a flexible sensor that you'd pull the cartridge out, and so basically any film camera that used regular 35mm film, you'd put this cartridge in, you'd slide the sensor out, and then the sensor would take the images and save them onto a flash drive built in, and it was going to have flash memory built into it and a little bit of software built in, so you'd pop the cartridge out, plug it into your computer.
Okay.
All very realistic and potentially attainable things. But the really awesome part would mean that, you know, if you got an old rangefinder or old Canon Nikon FM1 or a Canon A1 or something, you could make these cameras digital, which would be awesome because there's some fantastic old film cameras. So I was really excited because I wanted to be able to go out and buy like an old Voigtlander rangefinder and throw one of these in there. So I was really hoping that it was going to exist because they were like, we're going to make one in 4 megapixels, 8 megapixels, 12 megapixels, and then it wasn't real.
Which is unfortunate because I actually saw that website.
Yeah.
And I thought it was real.
Yeah,
I was sitting there
they did
going,
a good job of making it look like a real product.
and they had a really good amount of information behind it.
Yeah. And the other thing, too, is that I think the surprising thing was that it sounds obtainable.
It does.
Like, I don't know how good a flexible sensor would be, but it doesn't seem like technology we couldn't produce right now. We've got flexible LCD displays, so how much
And-
harder is it to make a flexible photo sensor, essentially?
Well, like we were talking in science, I mean, they've already made a photo sensor that's so tiny now and supposed to have, you know, a lot of abilities.
Yeah.
So making a flexible one doesn't seem like that much of a stretch, like you're saying. I mean, really, you know what? You can just make the actual sensor base as long as the thing stays flat. I think you'd be fine, and then you'd run all the circuitry behind it.
Yeah.
There's-
So I mean, they got way more response than they were expecting. It was a German design company that put this together, and they have a little pop up when you go to their website now saying, well, the good news is this went really well. The bad news is it's not real. But they did kind of add on to that people were really interested in it, which really showed that if someone wanted to go and spend time and make this product, they would likely get
a lot.
people that would buy it.
Yeah.
And like we think, it's obtainable technology. So I'd love to see this exist, even if it's not a fold-out thing, but just like a cartridge that could fit in of some kind would be awesome.
It just reminds me of like ThinkGeek. Like ThinkGeek.com puts out a lot of April Fool's products.
And then they decide to go make some.
Exactly. Some of them become real, and I'm hoping, like to Quinn's point, this would be amazing. Hopefully this happens.
I mean, even if it costs like $1,000, someone would easily spend $1,000 to be able to use all their film cameras and lenses again.
Absolutely.
For sure. So something to, everyone out there making digital technology, go make this.
Yeah.
Do it.
Pay attention to that.
And finally today, Canon is showing that they care a lot about DSLR video. They've recently struck a deal with Technicolor,
Okay.
who is they're very well known for being the people that do color processing to lots of major motion picture films.
So they do movies, right?
Well, they don't do movies, but they do color processing and rendering, and they're part of the workflow.
Okay.
But Canon is working with Technicolor to create a Cine-style profile that they can allow to be added to their SLRs, so that their SLRs are shooting in a color space that's going to optimally work with additional Technicolor post-processing software down the road, which is
crap.
really awesome because the thing about these cameras is that they can look really good, but you don't always want your image to look good. You want your image to be flat so that you have a lot of latitude to be able to work with colors and highlights and shadows. So if they're working with Technicolor to really build a strong color profile, they could end up with some really awesome results down the road. So it's showing that Canon is really invested in the mentality that, yes, they realize people are using their SLRs in, production, full-length feature films, that kind of stuff. And to take it one step further, they also announced this week 2 cinema lenses, which are the big lenses that end up on large film cameras. They're in a PL mount, which stands for positive lock, and it's what's commonly found if you're looking at RE or Leica or Zeiss lenses on these film cameras. So they've announced 2 of those guys, which kind of suggests that maybe Canon's got a 4K cinema camera coming down the pipeline, which would be completely understandable because that's where they're at.
I'm just imagining something.
So some pretty cool stuff that Canon's doing to really show that they are in the cinema game for the long run, and I'm excited for what's going to come out.
I'm excited just because I love camera tech. I want to see this work.
Yeah. All right, and that wraps up Behind the Lens for this week. Hey everybody, it's that time of the week where we try to make you laugh with something funny on the internet.
And this week's Funny is brought to you by the Washington Lottery. So, what's something that you've always wanted to do if you had lottery money?
Jump my car off a ramp.
Alright, this is almost as silly as that, except a little bit more medieval.
Yes, folks, they were jousting on Segways.
That should be a real sport. I'm just saying.
So overall, I think it was a clever commercial.
It's very clever.
Because that is the kind of stupid thing you would do if you had obscene amounts of money. Like, what am I going to do today? I don't know. Let's joust on Segways. All right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well done, Washington Lottery.
It's also a pretty well filmed commercial because it looks like something epic that you'd see maybe an ad for like the newest fantasy series or something. And then, you zoom out.
I want to see
Two
the
guys
fantasy
on-
series that's based on Segway Jousting.
Segway Jousting. It's like steampunk, but brought a little bit further back.
Or the alternative show where you create Segway topics in attempt to best your other opponent's Segway topics. Yeah.
Segway NASCAR?
Anyway, with that, it brings us to the end of the show this week. As per usual, if you want to get a hold of us via email, you can reach us at contact@almostfridayshow.com.
And if you want to tweet us about how Segway NASCAR or Segway Jousting are both awesome / one of them's awesome, one of them sucks, you can tweet us at almost_Friday.
It's probably Segway NASCAR that's going to suck.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be like... They'd just be going so slow.
Segway hockey?
It'd be like 3 days of racing to get 500 laps. It'd be the Daytona 50 instead of the Daytona 500.
To be honest, it'll be in Silicon Valley.
Every now and then someone's just going to bump into someone else and knock them against the wall, and then all the Segways are going to crash into each other.
Segway birdwatching.
Pandemonium. So, yeah, send us your Segway jousting videos.